Hello again, I'm Walt Morrison with Dan Wilson. Welcome back to the channel. I have not put out a video in a while, and so today I thought I might start a new how to do it series. As I mentioned before, I work on a wide variety of outdoor equipment here at the shop, and including riding lawnmowers, push mowers, chainsaws, tillers, anything else that comes up. Well, I'd like to get into show you guys a very important maintenance procedure with your riding lawnmower or your push mower, or whatever piece of mowing equipment you might have. A very important procedure is keeping your blades sharp. There's nothing worse for your grass than cutting with dull blades, and so it's very important to keep them sharp so they're getting a good clean cut. So one of the first challenges we run into in order to sharpen our lawnmower blades is getting the machine up high enough off the ground or the pavement or whatever we're working on to be able to get a tool, a wrench, whatever underneath there to take the blades off the machine. Here once again is a look at the old white brand riding lawnmower. Right now I got the hood off of it because it's in the process of getting a paint job. Okay, here's what I was just talking about. As you can see, the mower deck is about probably 4 inches above the concrete. And if I can get my hand down here enough to show you what I'm talking about, there's absolutely no way to get a wrench of any kind in there in order to remove the blades. So what we have no choice but doing is to have some way to get the riding lawnmower up high enough so we can get a wrench of some kind under there to take those blades off. Now, I fully know about the big expensive jacks they make that you can purchase to run these machines up on in order to raise them up, you know, in order to take the blades off or do other deck maintenance or whatever might come up. Now, I know those type of jacks are readily available. You can find those online at a lot of different places. And the problem for a lot of people is a lot of us don't have $500 to $1,000, whatever, to lay down on an expensive piece of equipment like that. It's great to have if you got the money to afford something like that. Now, a very less expensive alternative, I'm going to show you here in just a minute, is a pair of ramps that I built out of some scrap lumber I just had laying around the place here. And it took about maybe about 3 hours or so to put these ramps together. But they're very sturdy. Let me go ahead and spin the camera around here and show you what I'm talking about. Right here are the 2 ramps that I built just recently. And they're very sturdy. They're made out of some treated lumber that I had laying around. And they're not real pretty to look at, but they're sturdy and serves a purpose. So these are about probably, I think I made these about 16 inches tall on the sides here. I'm trying to get you a good shot of that. Yeah, there we go. Getting a lot of sun glare. We got a beautiful sunny day going on here in southeast Missouri right now, so it's a beautiful weather day. Makes it a little hard shooting outdoor video though, getting a lot of sun glare. So here's one look at the ramp of one of them. And of course I built the ramp boards here. So the plan is, and I've already tried this out once and it worked pretty good. So what we'll do here in a little bit is we're going to run the riding lawnmower up on these ramps and get it up high enough so we can take the blades off and get them sharpened up real good. So there's a look at my ramps. One little additional feature I almost forgot to mention here. Zoom in very closely right here. Here's a little bracket I put on the side right here, and this is primarily on there first of all to help hold this part of the ramp board intact with the rest of the ramp. And if you notice, I put this on with screws. Okay, so the idea behind that is that once I get the riding lawnmower's front wheels up on this part of the ramp, I can easily take my cordless drill or screwdriver or whatever, pull these just a couple of these screws out right here, and then remove this entire part of the ramp out of the way so this area is all clear so I can get underneath the mower deck and do what I need to do. As I was mentioning earlier, why it is so important to keep your lawnmower blades sharp and in good working order is to keep your lawn looking very nice and healthy and your grass very clean cut. If you're cutting with dull lawnmower blades, what you're essentially doing is you're not really cutting your grass, you're just knocking it in two. And that's why sometimes your lawn can look kind of brownish on top and just not looking very healthy. Just for the heck of it, it's going to give you a quick demonstration of kind of what I'm talking about. And right here I just have an ordinary piece of wood, a little mini sledgehammer. So here's kind of a demonstration of what goes on when you're cutting your lawn with dull lawnmower blades. See what it did? It just shattered the board. It's just got a horrible look to it. So when you're cutting with dull lawnmower blades, this is essentially what you're doing to your grass. Now on the other hand, when I go to cut this very similar piece of wood on my good old Delta brand miter saw with a good sharp blade on it, I'll show you the different results that I get from doing that. And again, I want to emphasize, when using a tool like this, be sure and keep your fingers and hands and hair and whatever else away from the blade. So I emphasize, I did a video a few months ago about the miter saw right here, just showing some basic operations of it. And I just want to emphasize that you gotta be very, very careful working with tools like this. Especially be sure and wear your eye protection. Keep your hands well away from the blade. This is probably the first time I've ever actually cut any wood on video with my miter saw here. What a great tool to have. Again, I emphasize this blade does not have a brain. It does not know the difference between this piece of wood and your finger or another part of your body. So here we go, just for the heck of it. Now look at the difference. I almost tripped. I'm getting clumsy in my old age. Look at what a nice clean cut the miter saw did with a good sharp carbide blade on it. What a difference. Okay, just a minute or so ago, I got the riding lawnmower up on the ramps just as planned with no problem whatsoever. Now what I mentioned earlier is I designed these side ramp boards in a way that I can hopefully take this loose right here and pull these back out of the way so I have room to get underneath the mower deck. Okay, that worked out beautifully well. The sideboards here, let me spin the camera around so I can show you what I'm talking about here. Came off very easily. So now I've got ample room to get my tool underneath the mower deck to remove the lawnmower blades. Alright, one of my all-time favorite places to be, underneath the mower deck. But this is where I've got to be to get the blades off here. One thing I do want to strongly emphasize is that if you do not feel confident doing this on your own, by yourself, please consult with a qualified professional, which I am. I've been doing this type of work for most of my life, almost 40 years now. But if you don't feel good about it, you don't feel safe, please do not attempt this, at least without proper instruction and proper training. If you don't feel safe about it at all, please do not attempt this on your own. It can be very, very dangerous. Many of these machines weigh hundreds of pounds. And if this thing were to collapse, which I'm confident it's not going to, it could possibly kill me. Okay, one thing I'll mention is that these blades can be very, very difficult to remove at times, especially if they have not been taken off the machine in a very long time. They get a lot of rust build up and a lot of corrosion going on here. Some of these are attached with nuts, as is in this model. Others have a bolt that go up into the spindle shaft. Either way, it can get rusted up and be very, very difficult to remove. That's why it's important to have a tool like this. This is an air impact wrench that usually works really, really good. The problem I have today is my air compressor is broken down. So, as I said many times, with any air tool, without an air supply or air pressure, it's just an object. It's pretty much useless. So for today, I have little choice but to try and remove these blades using my socket and ratchet combination. So we're going to give this a try and see how it turns out. Hopefully these will come off all right. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me for some more action type video. Well, today you're getting one. How to remove these doggone lawnmower blades. Once again, I brought a little mini sledgehammer. Has an alternative method. Since my air compressor is down and I cannot use my impact wrench, the other method is put the ratchet on there, take the sledgehammer, and give it a tap. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, baby. There's the first blade off the machine. Right there we go. Blade number 2 successfully off the machine. I want to show you guys a couple of methods for sharpening these lawnmower blades after we got them off the machine there a little while ago. Now, one method I'll show you is by using a what we call an angle grinder, this tool right here. This isn't my most preferred method. I have done it like this many times and it will work, but what I strongly prefer is to use my bench grinder, which we'll try out here in just a little bit. But if you don't have a bench grinder, but you do have an angle grinder like one of these, or if you can borrow one, or what the heck ever, this method will work. What you'll need is a good bench vise like what I have here. You got to have some method to hold the blade in place. Now what gets really awkward is, unless you're really highly skilled, this is a very awkward way to do this, in my opinion and based on my experience anyway. Because first of all, if we put the blade upright like this, it's hard to hold the grinder up where you can really see what you're doing. It's just an awkward way to try to do this, because what will happen is, again, unless you're just really skilled at doing this, you can mess up your edge pretty badly, because the angle grinder is hard to hold straight on there. It tends to want to wobble back and forth like this. If it wobbles too far this way or too far that way, you can practically ruin your lawnmower blade. If you get too far on this edge out here, you can do more damage than you're doing good. It'll just dull this out, and you'll lose what I call the profile of the blade. It'll just really mess things up. So again, unless this is your only last resort and this is all you have to work with, I strongly suggest using a bench grinder versus the angle grinder. So now I'm back over at my trusty Craftsman 6-inch bench grinder, which I'm going to use here in just a minute to re-sharpen the lawnmower blades, and I'll show you how I go about doing this. The one thing I will point out when using a bench grinder is that this grinding wheel will not cover the entire width of the cutting surface of the blade, which means I've got to make multiple passes on the blade. I know there are larger bench grinders out there. You can get these in 8-inch models, 10-inch, 12-inch, or what the heck ever. This one has to be a 6-inch grinder, which for my purposes suits me very well. But again, like I said, because of the size of the grinding wheel, I got to make multiple passes along here because it won't cover the entire surface at once. What I tend to do is I'm going to grind on the very top right here what I call the relief grind. This means the upper part of the cutting surface right up in here, to resurface this and smooth this out good. Then I'll gradually work my way down to do what I call a finish grind on the very tip edge of the blade. Another important procedure is, once I get this good profile going on here and feel like I've got a good sharp edge on there, I'm going to turn the blade around. Now the other grinding wheel over here, actually you can scoot this over, I don't quite have enough room. I'm going to do a quick back grind on the back side of the blade, which is back here. The reason behind that is because when I'm grinding on the front side of the blade, it develops a bit of an undercurl on the back side of the blade. If I don't knock that undercurl off, I'm not going to get a good cut when it's time to mow again. One thing I love about this bench grinder, it includes a built-in work light. You can see that okay. Makes it very handy. Once again, when working around power tools, eye protection is critically important. If you do this yourself, do not forget your safety glasses. So here we go. Okay, we'll let the bench grinder wind down just a little bit. As you can hopefully see here, I got a nice clean sharp edge on the blade right here. Feels like a good sharp edge on this. It's going to cut very well when I get back on the riding lawnmower. Another very important step in this process, besides just sharpening or resharpening the blades, is I want to be sure and balance the blades as well. I've told a lot of folks about this for a lot of years. The importance to make sure these blades are balanced, because if they're not, when the machine is running, this blade's going to vibrate excessively and could cause some damage to your mower deck, such as wearing out your spindle bearings prematurely, or possibly causing even worse damage than that, maybe a entire spindle failure. Okay, what I have right here is a typical blade balancer. These are very inexpensive. This one like this, it's just made out of plastic, and these are about maybe $6 or $8 a piece, so they're not terribly expensive. And all I do is I find a good level surface, such as my work table right here, and I'm going to set the blade on top of the balancer. Okay, then I'm going to look down here, make sure nothing's pressing up against the blade, and that blade to me looks almost perfectly balanced, so that one is good to go. Well, I got the blades back on the riding lawnmower just a little bit ago with no problem whatsoever, and I meant to shoot a little video on that part of it, and wouldn't you know, my camera battery went down on me, so I just kind of had to let that go for the time being. As I mentioned earlier in the video, those lawnmower blades can be quite difficult to get off of there if they've been on there for a long time. Those nuts and bolts tend to seize up because of rust and corrosion and stuff. A very good product that I've used for a long time now, I'm going to show you guys, is called aluminum anti-seize compound. At least this is the aluminum type. You can also get this in a copper type. It's a little bit more expensive. It's a good product to use to help keep that rust and corrosion from building up on the threads on your nuts or bolts or whatever attachment method your blades go on. Makes them much easier to remove the next time around. I moved the camera around this nice grassy area we have out back here. Let you guys see what a nice neat cut I got here after using those good sharp lawnmower blades I was telling you about. Thanks for checking out the video. If you like this one, be sure and hit that like button for me. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure and subscribe to my video channel here on YouTube. I'm going to have more instructional type videos for you guys coming up in the very near future. I hope I've been able to help at least in some small way for all you do-it-yourselfers out there, along with offering a few safety tips, some do's and don'ts on certain things when we get in these type of repairs. If I can help you any further, if you'd like to chat with me in person, I'm always available. Most of the time anyway. You can reach me at 901-257-9469 or by email at waltmore123@gmail.com. That's WALTMORE123@gmail.com. Thanks again for watching. I look forward to checking in with you guys on the next video. I'm Walt Moore, also known as Dan Wilson. Take care and God bless.